it's like this incel community. It's like for men.
I mean, women exist.
No, I'm not
That's
talking
not
about women
true.
incels, but
I disagree. I don't think a woman can be an incel.
Yeah.
Why is that? Like, genuinely, I'm curious.
Because men
I don't think
men will do anything with two legs.
Because
not all men. I didn't say all men.
If any woman was so inclined to get laid, she could, regardless of her personality, regardless of her level of physical attractiveness.
So could a guy.
I guess it's. I think
I would agree
There's
with that.
no. It's if
The belief system.
Well, for
I agree
example,
with
there was a Reddit community dedicated to femcells, women who consider themselves involuntarily celibate, and it like was bombarded with men who were propositioning these women with sex. The reverse is not the case. There's not just women flocking to incel communities to fuck
Here's
these men.
the easiest way
they're
to
so
frame
hot.
it, right? If there was a male version of you, he's not having sex at sex parties and having sex with people back in June. It's not going to happen.
you think at sex
mean, I
parties-
disagree
the
with
same
that,
sex
but-
party.
Why would you disagree
He's
with
going
that?
to go to the same
Because-
sex party.
I would say, what I would argue though is that a man who's obese is going to struggle far more when it comes to purely getting sex than a woman who's obese.
That's the point, yeah.
Well, you're not
So-
really an incel. You can go to Nevada and book a prostitute if you want to.
Well, but
That would still be involuntarily.
How?
Yeah, because in
that's
that case,
prostitution is not doesn't.
He's
count.
talking about.
Okay, of
he's
course.
he's talking about sex between two consenting adults, absent money, where you're not paying them for it. That's the point of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because in that
but
case,
also
no.
the
It's like,
difference
oh, well, I mean, you could just go buy a
But also
prostitute.
the difference
It's
of
like,
what
I
we
think that
want
defeats
is
the
different
purpose,
too.
right?
Like women want the money. I mean,
Like what?
will be okay with having
Freudian
money,
slip
and
there?
men, like the drive is also very different.
Wait.
Just in general, like
You mean the sex drive?
yeah, like for instance, like a man doesn't necessarily like a man will pay for sex, but a woman won't necessarily have to pay for sex. But there's other things that we might do that will have to like.
That
will
work for like, intimacy.
Exactly. So
I
it
think
may not
that's
be
the
money.
point. Like when we
might
talk
be
about
something
incels,
else.
like they could book a prostitute, but typically, like you were saying, they're looking for someone who's like enthusiastically consenting to it. So typically, they're not just looking for sex because they could go to a hooker. They're looking for some level of intimacy.
Yeah.
So analogously, femcells, yes, they could be propositioned by those guys on the Reddit, but they're looking for someone who actually cares about them.
Right.
And
But
doesn't just see them
comparing-
as a
Exactly.
whole.
This is also a bad presupposition
Yes.
for a different reason. Another reason this is a bad presupposition is they may not be going to a hooker not because they don't want to or they don't just want sex, but because they may have religious convictions or other values which conflict with doing something like that. So
If they have that strong of a
this
religious
is
conviction,
so. Hang
they
on,
shouldn't be
just
so hell bent on
I'm
being
almost
an incel. They should
almost
be waiting
done.
until
Calm down,
marriage.
calm down, Farah, before you start spurg talking and turbo talking. Let me just finish the point.
Everything I'm saying is sound. Just because
Yeah,
I
that's
talk
nice.
fast doesn't
Yeah,
make
wait,
it
let's-
turbo
It'll be
talking.
just as sound when I'm done
Maybe
speaking.
we just got to avoid.
He's
maybe,
just
I
bad
think
at moderate. I'm sorry, I have to
So-
moderate myself.
So anyway, just chill out. I'm almost
Yeah,
done.
chill out, Farah.
Yeah, chill out.
Chill
Farah.
out.
I'm almost
I love it
done.
when they say calm down.
Yeah. So I didn't say calm down. You calm down. So anyway, what I was getting at here was just to say there could be other convictions. There could be other convictions which are here that they adhere to. Now, most popularly, what I see online with people referred to as incels is that their standards are extremely high because they have those religious convictions. They can't find a woman who can meet those standards. Why would they go buy a prostitute if their religious
That's
convictions prevent
voluntary.
them from doing it?
You're
That's
saying
voluntary
he can still be an incel because he
That
can't
is
find a woman who
voluntary.
matches his values? That's literally voluntary.
That's voluntary.
That's like
I
me
do
saying I'm an
think
incel because I can't find a guy who's
it's a bit
6 foot,
different.
makes $1 million a year, and wants to date me. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Exactly.
When you're talking about somebody who is incelibate by choice, would you say then, right? Or I'm sorry,
Celibate.
Celibate by choice. If you're just talking, anybody who can just go have sex with anybody, right? You can go get a prostitute or this type of thing, okay? Obviously, a person who's going to have sex with another person is going to go for their preferences, right? Isn't
Not
that
if they're
generally
paying.
what they're going to
They
do?
don't get to choose if they're
Yes,
paying.
and like we're saying, there's two different metrics for male and female
Mm-hmm.
preferences, but suddenly you're now using the default as the male preference. So even if he doesn't want to fuck a girl because
Well,
she
no,
has
I'm
different
assuming
religious
it-
values,
I'm assuming
why
it
is
both
that
ways.
different
Wait,
than
let her
me
finish.
saying, even
Yeah.
though guys are propositioning me on Reddit,
Yeah.
they're not the type of guy I'm looking for, so therefore I can still deem myself a femcel.
Yeah, I'm assuming it both ways. So I assume it on the other way too that
So you
there's
believe
what-
femcells exist?
well, yeah, I'm not
You just
Brian.
said that you didn't.
Well, I
think-
have a
Brian
different
did.
I have a different
Oh, so
definition of it.
you think femcells exist?
If it's from the religious connotation, yeah.
Just religious.
Well, I have a different.
Yeah, I think
Not
that-
from the idea of, yes, I could fuck this guy, but I won't enjoy it. I won't be attracted to him. It'll feel
Yeah, I
very
think that all those
uncomfortable.
things could be true, but it would be from a religious standpoint.
No, but you can have that without being
Religious.
religious.
Yeah, generally speaking, a
No,
religious
I have
standpoint.
feelings
yeah.
like that, and I'm not religious.
So if I'm very unattractive and I can only fuck guys who are like disgusting to me, but that's not for religious reasons that I'm unattracted to them, wouldn't I still be a femcel by your definition?
If
Or
you
no?
were super ugly, you mean? Like just a super, yeah, I mean, I guess.
So you think the person's
But
appearance?
I'm talking in generalities here. So I'm just saying generally that's what I would fit in that criteria.
Wait, what's your question?
So you think the appearance is the majority factor of whether or not someone is an incel?
Usually for a man, it's more than their appearance. Usually it's the inside.
I think that there could be there's
Yes,
two, there's
usually
two
it's the inside.
categories
Okay.
here. Yeah,
Because
for
there's
sure.
incels that look just like any one of you guys, and they're feeling like they don't have sex. And the reason why is because we're so turned off by their inside, and the first thing that comes out of their mouth, we couldn't possibly fathom doing anything with them.
Yeah.
I'm not clear. Well, okay. There's first off, my sense of what an incel is it's involuntarily celibate. So this is
Yeah.
somebody. I would argue that, and maybe Andrew, this is where I disagree. If say you're a Christian man and you're waiting until marriage, I would consider that to be voluntary.
Yeah, I have a hard time with
celibacy.
that because then, like, would you apply that to SA? So,
Whoa,
well, wait a second.
what?
They're involuntary. Why couldn't they just go SA a chick, right? They could do that, and then
Wait,
it wouldn't be.
what?
They would be
That's a
involuntarily
false
celibate.
equivalency.
Why?
Because sex and SA are not comparable.
Okay,
No, but what I'm saying is that if it's
What
if
is
it's not
SA?
just a barrier based around personalization, right, and preferences, then you're looking at the same thing from the religious to if you were looking at it from the argument against the religious is, well, no, this is voluntary because you could just go get a prostitute. It's like, well, no, it's involuntary. They want to do it, right, but they have a barrier from doing it, just like the lack of the SA portion would be the same thing, a barrier from doing it.
I
Right?
genuinely don't think a lion's share of incels are opting out of booking a hooker for religious reasons. I'm pretty sure a large number of porn consumers are incels. So if they were opting out of sex for religious reasons, they wouldn't be like consuming so much porn.
Yeah, so you don't think that people who are heavily religious would like to have sex, that they might have those wants to do?
That's not what involuntary means.
Yeah, I think, but this is where I'm drawing a distinction with you, because if your argument for no, that's not involuntary, it means if you
It's a
say
choice.
involuntary, they could just go get a sex worker. Then why couldn't I just respond by saying, well, if it's involuntary, why couldn't they just go assault a chick, get the same result?
How would it be involuntary? For
Because if I
religious-
call someone homeless, I'm saying, yeah, they could squat somewhere technically illegally, but I would still consider them homeless.
What does that have to do with what I said?
It's an analogy.
Yeah, but how's the analogy apply?
Because doing something unlawfully doesn't now make it sex.
Well, wait a second. Wait, back up. What is it then?
I'm saying if they're an incel,
It's
and
just
they're,
unlawful sex, right?
my point is, if they're an incel and they're complaining that they just can't get sex, they can book a hooker, but that's typically not what
Yeah,
they're
they
looking
could also
for.
SA a
They're
chick.
looking for a level of emotional
Yeah, but
intimacy. That's my
this is
point.
what I'm saying. There's a barrier. They're both what you would consider
One's
a
a barrier legally, the other one's legal.
Yeah, but they're both barriers. Is the point?
People, I don't think people are opting out of hookers for religious reasons.
Why? You don't think so?
No.
Why?
Well, maybe some
Involuntary
are, but
not
I'm saying an
having sex is
incel
not
who's
gonna go
an
SA
incel who's
somewhere.
jacking off to porn every day
created-
isn't now drawing the line at prostitution.
I've now created
because
two
of
different
religion.
categories of incel for you. I'm saying that one, I believe that both of them are involuntarily
We're
not
talking about
doing
the
this.
actual incel community, the people on Reddit. We're not
I
talking
believe
about your, like,
that
made-up
is an actual
person who's
incel
waiting till
community.
marriage to find a
have
godly
you ever heard,
woman.
Have you ever heard of the Tradcast who self-ID as incels, for instance? The reason that they self-ID as incels is because they say, yeah, sure, we would love to be rolling around and
Okay.
having tons of sex with women, but we don't, right? Because we have this X belief.
So would he be an incel if he struggles to find a virgin? Like if every single woman at his college has had sex and his standard is he wants to marry another virgin, is he now an incel? No, that's voluntarily celibate because you've set a standard for
That's
yourself.
actually kind of interesting. I
that's
might be getting on
yeah.
board with what you're saying, Andrew, because so
Not expecting it to go that way.
Not even.
yeah. Well, no, I'm trying to suss this out in my head, and I'm thinking about it. Like, okay, yeah. So there is a law stating that SA is illegal,
Right.
So if I'm looking at coming from a biblical framework as a Christian, I determine that the Bible is my foundation for morality and is law in my mind. So just the same way that SA is illegal it's illegal in the Bible, but it's illegal in our society. It is, to co-opt the verbiage, it is illegal in God's mind,
Right.
in God's eye, to say to have sex before marriage.
Right.
So I actually kind of agree.
So you
I
can't
think-
actually alleviate what you want, even though you want to, because there's this barrier.
But you're
Okay.
choosing to abide by the barrier.
yeah, but you would be
Wait.
doing the same thing with SA. That's the point.
Because it's a choice.
It's
you
the
choose not
choice.
to.
Does it just end at religious convictions? Can I say female dating strategy
Well-
tells me I should only fuck guys who make more than me, and because I earn a lot, it's hard to find those guys. Therefore, I'm a femcel.
Well, the religious
Talking
conviction
really fast
is,
doesn't make your arguments
The
better.
it doesn't. My argument's being
Your
correct makes my
argument
arguments
doesn't.
correct.
What's your argument? I bet you can't even repeat it.
I think I can.
Do it.
I was saying, why are you just drawing the Bible to be akin to law, but why can't I say my preferences could be akin to law too? So
You
suddenly
could.
I'm a femcel.
You could, yeah.
Okay, so I'm a femcel because I can't find a guy who makes more money
No,
than me
we're
in my
saying
city.
that you could make two different categories here, right? But you would still have to categorize them. So, is it involuntary? I guess what we're really discussing is what do we mean by involuntary? You think that it's voluntary, absent barrier. And so do I, so I don't know what we're arguing.
Okay, so as far as just real quick though, if you have SA, you're going to get a physical repercussion for that.
But let's say you didn't.
deciding to abide by the Bible, you're not going to get a physical
Yeah, but we believe
repercussion.
you would.
Yeah, that's
the
the thing.
point.
Okay, but your belief in actual physical harm happening to you is not the same.
Okay, so what- so
you're
you-
not going to go to jail. God is not going to put you in jail.
But you could also let's envision for a second that you knew you could do it and could get away with it and not go to jail. Okay? It would still be a barrier. The absent consent would still be a barrier. And so you wouldn't do
the
it.
chance
right?
of you actually being able to go to jail versus not are two different very big things.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the point.
How does it not?
Because what I'm saying is let's remove that for a second. That you would
But
even
you're deciding that the
if you-
Bible is the top thing.
Yes,
that's
and
gonna
you're
scare
deciding that the
somebody.
law is the top thing that prevents
I'm
the
not.
SA.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, as far as overall, you can believe in the Bible. That's
Mm-hmm.
fine. But no matter what, Bible or not, you still got to respect the law. So you're encompassing.
You don't
everyone
have
with
to
the law.
respect the law.
No,
don't
Okay,
have
as
to,
far
yeah.
as like if you're going to be law abiding or even just of any
Right.
laws.
So your choice is to respect the law.
But everyone has to be under the law. Not everyone has to be under the Bible.
Yeah, but your choice is to respect both. You don't have to
You
respect
choose
the law.
to respect the law.
Nothing's stopping
That
you
is
from going through a
voluntary.
stop
So as far
sign.
as
Nothing's
best-
stopping you from grabbing
I see
that
what you're
mic
saying,
and hitting
but
me in the head with it.
difference is the repercussions at the end of the day are different.
Yes, there might be that there's
that
that
alone
you
is
have
gonna
a
affect your
perception.
choice.
You saying that you have a perception of a repercussion distinction. Fine, we can remove that barrier by saying if we could assume that there was no repercussion for you, would you just start saying
can't.
people?
There is.
Yeah, but that's not the purpose of explaining this way. The purpose is to show you that even if that barrier was removed, you still wouldn't do it. There is a barrier which is there, whether it's religious or it's legal. These two barriers still very much exist inside of your mind, which is the preventative measure for doing the action.
But okay, so if you assault someone, you're then affecting that person's life. If you abstain for sex because of a religious belief, you're not affecting someone else's life.
What if you
So-
were to
debatable.
essay? What if you were to essay a chick who was
How is it debatable?
who was in a coma and would never know, and it was impossible for
That
her to get
happened. There was
pregnant?
a man who was raping a lady in.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Oh,
excuse
yeah.
me.
But
Sorry.
you wouldn't co-sign on it.
Sorry.
I think we actually agree.
Right, you wouldn't co-sign on it.
No, it was awful.
Right, that's
Yeah,
my whole
that's
point.
a barrier.
No, I think
That's
we
a
agree.
barrier.
I think we agree. I was
Yeah,
having a rebuttal to Brian saying that like, oh, incels exist only for men but never for women because someone will always fuck you. And I was saying, in theory, you could fuck someone as a man, but it's not to these, you know what I mean? There's that barrier there. So I was saying even for
Yeah.
women, even though some guys would
Yeah, I
proposition
would
us
just
on
say,
Reddit, you
I
could
would
still be a
just say,
femcel. That
so
was my
here's why I
point.
would make the two distinct categories. So I think you would agree with this too. So in the distinct category one with the men, I think it's much easier for men to be in that one category of incel, right? Whereas for women, it's not very, it would actually be difficult to be in that category. Whereas on the religious end, I would say that it could be equal.